Hello, welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Mr. Robot Season 4, Episode 5, Method Not Allowed. This video is part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Mr. Robot, so I have to start with a spoiler warning for Mr. Robot up to Season 4, Episode 5. If you haven't seen up to this point, you may not want to watch this video, otherwise some things will be spoiled for you. So, I don't have much to say about this episode. Get it? I don't have much to say about it. God, that's how I felt when I was watching the episode, particularly at the end when Vera shows up and is like, I think it's time we talk. I think I did an audible groan when he said that. I was like, oh. Get it? Time to talk, because they weren't talking before and now they're talking. Oh, God. First of all, let me just say, just a general statement about my personal taste is I'm a fan of dialogue. I've talked about this a lot on my channel. Most of my favorite episodes of my favorite shows, my favorite movies could just be two people in the room talking. I'm not a fan of how some people like. I don't personally like the silent type movies or the silent, and it's particularly not. I'm talking about like old 40s silent movies. I mean modern movies where a lot of indie art house films do this. They purposely say, "Oh, you don't need to have dialogue. It's a cheat. You can show things through action." I find that very pretentious. And I personally do not like it. I'm a fan of dialogue. I like the dialogue because if it's used right, if it's used correctly, it can be more amazing than the best visuals. That being said, if I'm talking about this episode in particular, I didn't mind that. Like, it didn't particularly bother. Like, I'm not particularly bothered by it. I still like this episode. Like, I wouldn't call this episode pretentious. Just to be clear, I just think in general when people want to rely too much on things without, I mean, there's exceptions to every rule, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of cases I think where I do like something where there's minimal or no dialogue, but just a general statement. Sometimes a lot of films and episodes will do this and it comes off as just a bit, oh, look at how artsy I am, which I can't stand. But this episode I did enjoy, but let me just say, a lot of people might compare this to the season 3 episode that was like a one-shot episode, which is one of my favorite episodes of the entire show. The name of it is escaping me at the moment, but you know the one I'm talking about. I think it was episode 5 from season 3 where the whole thing is taking place in one continuous long shot. I mean, obviously, actually it wasn't a long shot, but it was made to look like one. And I love that episode. And I think before the season started, I did a live chat, I think on my brother's channel, and someone asked, oh, do you think there's going to be a gimmicky episode like that in season 4? And there we are. Here it is. But when I was asked that question, I thought, well, I don't really consider that. I mean, sure, it's kind of a gimmick, the one-shot thing, but to me, I didn't really consider it a gimmick because it felt natural to the story. It was, in fact, a great way to tell the story. Like the device, let's call it, rather than gimmick, didn't seem like it was interfering. That's why I'd call it device rather than gimmick, because it didn't feel like it was interfering with the story. It feels like it was enhancing the story. It feels like it was just a cool way to get the feeling of kinetic energy, of urgency that Elliot had in that episode across, and I think it was extremely effective and artistic and amazing, and I absolutely loved it. This did feel like a gimmick. And again, I didn't hate it, but I think it didn't enhance the story. I actually think it decreased the value, and it was unnecessary, and it was just, oh, look at how cool this is, no one's talking. Because I think there's a lot of instances where I think this episode would have been enhanced had people talked. And there's some cases, like particularly when Dawn was at the police station, people would be talking. When she was at the accident with the car, the van that was blown up, like, I think dialogue would have tremendously helped that scene. And I actually think getting a dialogue between Elliot and Darlene at the start of the episode would have been immensely helpful as well. Now, I know a lot of people are going to point to how touching the visual, how good it was that they were able to get all these things across just with the visuals. And sure, absolutely. But that being said, would dialogue, is a little bit of dialogue hurt this episode? No, but they had to have none because it was a gimmick. It was the whole gimmick. It was like at the start of the episode, when Darlene says, "It's okay, dude, we don't have to talk." And then there's no talk. I mean, that's cheesy. I'm sorry. And it's even more cheesy, as I said, when the end of the episode is like, "I think it's time we talk." Get it? Get it? It was a gimmick. It was unnecessary, and I think it did hurt rather than enhance the story. But that being said, as I said, it was cool some of the messages they conveyed just through visuals, such as, particularly, I know everyone's going to point to towards the end of the episode, where Elliot grabs Darlene's hand as she's driving as a way of, and how some people will say that way of reconciliation, that simple gesture, would be a lot more powerful than any words. And I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. But does that mean the whole entire episode has to have no dialogue? No, it does not. It totally does not. But as I said, I don't think this was a terrible episode. I think you could have thrown in you could have most of the episode be dialogue free, but I think there were certain instances where it did seem like they were really stretching things just to try to keep this gimmick. And certain scenes, as I said, that would have been enhanced had there actually been some dialogue. So this episode did totally come off as gimmicky to me. But not a bad episode. I quite enjoyed it. It was really intense. I think some of the visuals were absolutely amazing. Particularly the one thing that struck out to me was when Elliot and Darlene were running away down the staircase, and the visual of them just going through the staircase. So that was really, this is the kind of cinematography I've come to appreciate and expect from Mr. Robot. But that being said, I love the cinematography in Mr. Robot, but I watch it for the story. And the story was kind of simple in this episode, and I think it could have been enhanced with a little bit of dialogue, just my opinion. But, I don't really have much to say about the Dom stuff. I mean, it's interesting how it seems like, I will make the analogy to Deep Space Nine fans. Anyone who's watched Deep Space Nine, it's kind of the moment where Damar was looking at himself in the mirror when he was working with the Dominion and drinking his Kanar and realizing how he hates himself and how he hates what he's doing and what he's become. Got the same feeling with Dom after she got that last text from what's her face, crazy taxidermy lady, Janice. Yeah, and yeah. So I think they're definitely going in the way where Dom's gonna do something to betray them. So I'm curious to see where they take this, but at the moment, this episode was, I don't know, I won't call it unnecessary, because it definitely was necessary, but it didn't do that much to progress the story overall. It seemed like it mostly existed for the gimmick. But that being said, I did think all the scenes with Elliot and Darlene doing a little scam and running away were really intense. I can't wait to watch some video that is done by someone who more technically minded than myself, who knows about hacking and whatnot, to break down exactly what the hell was happening. What it's going to be really interesting to watch that explanation, because I'm a bit lost. I mean, I didn't get the general idea of what they're doing, but specifics I couldn't tell you. But I still really enjoyed that episode. I enjoyed that episode. The stuff with Price, I think, definitely would have been enhanced with some fucking dialogue. personally. I mean, basically he was just running through all these hoops to try to get into the secret meeting with White Rose. So again, I don't know. I think season 4 overall, I think there's no way it's going to be better than season 3. I think it's not going to live up to season 3. That's just why I'm calling it now. Season 3 was amazing, blew me away. I think it's one of the best seasons of television of any show ever. And I don't think season 4 is going to. It's reminding me a bit more of season 2. But so far I think it's better than season 2. So hopefully it lands being better than season 2. But we'll see. I'm hoping that they pull this off. That the end of the season starts to get really great, because at the moment it does seem there was not this episode particularly, but previous episodes, there's a lot of unnecessary stuff. And talking a little bit, I want to talk a little bit about last week's episode actually, because it's been, after I did my review, it's been confirmed that Tyrell is dead. And I didn't pick up on that at all, because I think I might have said in my last review, if Tyrell is dead, I'm going to be fucking pissed. And I said particularly if he's dead and we never get an answer to what that weird noise and what the light he saw. So we could still get an answer to what the weird noise was and what the light he saw. So if they do that, that would relieve my, hurt a little bit, a bit. But I think that's stupid that he died. That makes me really pessimistic for the rest of season 4. Now, I haven't determined that it sucked already. I mean, it still could be good. But the fact they killed off Angela in such a hastily rushed way in the very first scene of the fucking season, and then 3 episodes later, only 4 episodes in, they kill off Tyrell in a very weird way before he actually does anything, which kind of makes this whole character a waste of time, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to look too kindly on this. See, I have a hard time. They're going to have to try really hard to pull me back towards the end of the season. I know I'm probably going to get 1,000 dislikes on my video, because apparently there's a lot of people who love this season who think last week's episode was a brilliant work of art, which I really, really don't get. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dislikes in this video. People saying the exact same thing about, oh, it's so brilliant, artsy. Nah. It's not terrible, I will say that, but it's definitely way more gimmicky than anything they did before, my opinion. And then, of course, the episode ends the stuff with Vera. Oh, great, lovely. On top of everything, we get to see Vera kidnap Krista. Oh, I am so wanting to see that. Anyway, my rating for what method not allowed, or whatever it's called, out of 10 is a 7. Very good. I'm going to give it a 7. I think this was a good episode. It was really intense. I was engaged, even though it was a bit gimmicky. And I did like some of the visuals and the visual way of conveying information. Like I said, that scene where Elliot touched Darlene's hand was really powerful. So the things I did appreciate about this episode, but it was totally a gimmick. Totally. Anyway, that is it for my review of Mr. Robot Season 4, Episode 5. I will be back next week to cover Episode 6, but next week I am taking a trip to Oregon. I'm going to visit my brother. Many probably know him from his channel, Apkin Tomka. We've done videos before. So next week, we haven't figured out the logistics of this quite yet, but we are going to do a live video together in the same room. We haven't actually done a video like this ever before. It's been like, it's been over 5 years since I've seen him in person. So that's coming for episode 6. We'll do our review as a live stream together, so looking forward to that. Anyway, be sure to check out that out. Also check out my channel as I do many more reviews on more videos on Mr. Robot. I also cover other shows like Star Trek, The Expanse, Lost, and more, so be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all of that. And thanks a lot for watching.